This week, we witnessed a turf war that brewed faster than a triple shot oat milk latte, a workers' union that looks more like a pyramid with unpaid interns at the base, and a local artist booed off the stage at a charity event. Coffee's hot, the knives were literal, and the drama, well, brother, it's running wild. Good evening, everybody. I'm Paddy Lambay, and if you're just joining us, congratulations on surviving another 2 weeks in the city where caffeine is currency and your ER visit might come with a cover charge. Let's begin where all good stories do, with music, charity, and public humiliation. It was supposed to be a night of burgers, bikes, and ballads. Casey's Diner threw open its doors for Harmony Meets Harmony, a charity bike rally and a musical showcase that ended up at the wharf in Paleto Bay after a pretty decent bike ride. That Harmony, however, did hit a bit of a flat note when Johnny Slade stepped up on the stage playing his debut album and was heckled mid-set by none other than Jack Preacher himself, the owner of Casey's Diner and organizer of this event, who boldly declared, "I don't like this song," picked up his cell phone and walked off like the ghost of concert critics past. Now, the music community is fuming about this. Some artists saying that they'll never play anywhere like that ever again, while others say, "This ain't Sunday night at the Slammies. You best show some respect." Will future events have less live music? Will Slade return with a vengeance track called Jack Attack? Only time and Birdie will tell. But in the meantime, I got a couple of those disgruntled attendees right here. Check it out.
Out here at the music event dedicated to bikers, while Mr. Johnny Slade is on stage performing an album he worked months on, his first full-released album, one of the people running the event, Mr. Jack Preacher, openly states while shouting in front of a crowd of 100 people, "I don't like this song." Then he answers his phone and walks away. The disrespect for this community is absolutely crazy. Why are people hosting events? Why are people putting in the time to help people with events if the very people that are running it have no respect for the fucking artists? Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I see the next event having a lot less music because this won't stand. The music scene stays united and this shit won't fly. Jack Preacher talked shit in front of a man who put his heart into an album, and that man will not be performing here again.
From disgruntled attendees to workers' rights. Now, boys, look, I'm all about workers' rights, all right? Fair pay, legal protection, and health care that doesn't come with a side of pepper spray. So when Damien Cross announced his brand new union a few weeks ago, I thought, hey, maybe this guy ain't just some hair gel enthusiast with mob undertones. This guy was actually out to help the city of Los Santos. At first, the LSWU, that's the Los Santos Workers Union, looked like it was the real deal. It gave you that free legal support. It gave you free towing. It gave you access to a group of like-minded individuals and a rousing message of solidarity, not silence. And then, well, this showed up. Stuck underneath the windshield wiper of my Uber-marked Oracle. The Influence Band, it's called. Something like, I don't know, James Bond would pull out in a movie to use against to mind control a politician or something. Well, it's a glorified scratch ticket dressed in Marxist cosplay. Let's break it down a little bit, all right? Here's how it works. You buy the band for $100,000. Your money is invested in influence, whatever the fuck that means. And when the fund doubles, your band becomes worth $200,000. Except the only way it doubles is if other people buy more bands. This whole system looks suspiciously like it's straight out of the Pansy playbook. All right? This isn't union building. It's financial, professional wrestling. And Damien Cross is chair-shotting his way straight through your savings account. They say it's not a charity. They say it's not a scam, but it is coincidentally, at least from what I can tell, not refundable. Weasel News has taken to the streets to see what other people think about this brand new initiative from the Workers' Union. Some citizens calling it a scam, while others are saying that it's just a misunderstood mutual fund. Weasel News have not been able to reach Damien Cross for comment. However, I wouldn't be surprised if it would be no less different than Ozzy Osbourne looking for a dove at one of his concerts. It's easy to make a joke, folks. But when people buy into this stuff, they're buying into it with their rent money, with their food money, and with the last bits of trust that we haven't already handed to the mega corporations, the crime lords, and whatever police officer that is that's out doing donuts in that state-issued Vaquero. This isn't a punchline. Quite literally, this is how scams dress up in working class uniforms and hide behind buzzwords like empowerment and community ownership. But if all you're owning is a piece of paper and a dream, tell me who the fuck is really cashing in. In other news, crime goes classic. Paleto Bank gets hit like it's 1985 again, folks, where some crimes age like wine, others expire like a bag of milk. This week, Paleto Bank reminded us all what it is like to be the victim of a good old-fashioned broad daylight sting-up. Little is known so far except that the robbers had gall, guns, and a possibly questionable getaway plan involving a couple of bug-starved ants. But in a city where shootouts happen between latte orders, maybe this is just tradition. We hand also over to our brand new reporter, Maxwell Rockford, as he was up there and got the scoop. Let's check it out.
Excuse me?
So long.
Well, I mean, we were in there, and then they got in an argument over whose ingrown toenails got more pus. I don't understand why they were talking about that. And then, they told Bill to shut the fuck up a few times, and yeah. So I pulled up, I walked in, I was making a bank deposit. Next thing I know, these bug trucks show up, and yeah. After I get done making a bank deposit, I turn around, I got 4 guns on me. The criminals, you guys are MVPs. Thanks for the juice and the meal. The law, I mean, fuck you guys. You're worried about a jaywalker instead of me in there at gunpoint.
Thank you, Max. Now we hand off to Buster Watson for the weather, because after this week's emotional hurricane of tipped over spilled coffee, I need to know if it's safe to cry outside.
Thank you, Patty. So the weekend outlook does not look good. Friday, it's going to storm all day. Saturday, it's going to storm all day. Good luck. On Sunday, though, guess what? Those clouds are going to clear away to some sunshine. Thank God, right? Speaking of clouds, part of me is starting to wonder if all the gunshots could be related to having all these clouds in the sky. That's what I've heard creates the clouds, are gunshots. So I guess on Sunday, when the clouds go away, keep the guns away. You never know when the weather gods are watching you, right? Or am I crazy? Patty, back to you.
Are you tired of sifting through the sewer of city gossip just to figure out if someone got stabbed or if they just got ghosted? Well, introducing to you, The Memo, hosted by Emma Madrazo herself, along with the one and only Patty Lambay. We don't create gossip, we curate the conversation. All right. And this week's top feature is the Hippocratic Oath versus the Hippocratic Oath. Because in this city, Bedside Manor now comes with a piece of body armor. So stay informed, stay aware, stay dirty, but not involved. The Memo, airing soon. No vowels sold separately. And our final story of the night we touched on a little while ago is actually the feature story of this week's Memo, where most cities' turf wars mean gangs. In Los Santos, however, Turf war comes down to baristas and biker doctors stabbing people in front of a donut cart. This is the story of two coffee shops. One run by Sidney Clark, the beloved Legion Square sweetheart, dispenser of sugar and serotonin. The other, hidden in the sterile halls of Pillbox Hospital, backed unofficially by Reapers MC, and staffed by EMS with questionable conflict resolution training. Both of these coffee shops approved by the city, both unaware of the other, and thus unintentionally both on a collision course brewed in bureaucratic hell. The bean machines take flight. It started real simple. A barista throws some shade. Rhett, a Legion employee, called out Pillbox shop's manager for their attitude. Passive aggressive? Maybe. Petty? Certainly. But what came next was not very passive. As Sophie, EMS worker and official Reaper rider, shows up to the Legion shop and stabs Mr. Rhett and a 66-year-old man by the name of Buddy Baker. Yes. Yes, that happened. We are now 2 knife wounds deep over espresso real estate, and if that sounds insane, welcome to Wednesday in Los Santos. Buddy was rushed to Pillbox, the very hospital where these stabbings originated. More irony here? No, that's just the city saving money on the taxi. And then Iris, another Reaper and medical staff, confronts Rhett with a weapon after his surgery. Rhett kicks her motorcycle. She draws. He shoots. Self-defense? Maybe. Escalation? Definitely. Normal? For Los Santos? Yeah, probably. By this point, though, the hospital, once considered neutral ground, has become a war zone with decent parking. And now, in one of the most surreal moments of this entire saga, Sophie, EMS, now former Reaper, leaves the motorcycle club, walks up to Buddy Baker in front of half the city, kneels and kisses his feet. Not metaphorically, literally. We met up with Buddy afterwards, and he states medical personnel with temper issues really should not be carrying weapons. As if that wasn't the wildest sentence of this entire freaking decade. But then enters Midnight Moon, also known as Iris, a high-ranking Reaper, a former EMS, and according to our exclusive memo interview, the only one trying to save lives while everyone else was running their mouths. She claims Rhett pulled the gun first. They came to de-escalate, not fight. And that Sophie's actions were emotional, not club-sanctioned. We do have an anonymous source claiming just the opposite, and that Sophie was acting on a club-wide hit, ordered by Dr. Jackson Graves himself, Reaper's MC president. Can you spell conflict of interest? Because I think I can. And finally, that she resigned from EMS over the reputational damage. Midnight is many things here. She's sharp, she's dangerous, but above all, she is done playing nice. But in a rare moment of civility, Sidney Clark met with the chief of medicine from Pillbox. No weapons, no body cams, no MC cuts, just honesty. And Sidney laid it all out. I don't feel safe. The lines between medicine and violence are gone, and how do I trust the people who take vitals 1 minute and pull Glocks the next? Apparently from this, Dr. Jackson Graves was placed on administrative leave while an internal affairs investigation has begun. Public condemnation was issued. And the words, "This is not who we are," were spoken with the kind of fear you only hear when lawsuits are on the table. Weasel News has been unable to get further comment on this situation from Pillbox Medical. But here's the truth, folks. This isn't about bean brands anymore. This is about the trust in our institutions in the great city of Los Santos. We expect bikers to brawl. We expect coffee shops to fight over oat milk. But what we don't expect is the people paid to keep us alive to show up with switchblades and sidearms. Pillbox is bleeding, and not just physically, ethically, morally, and systematically. The wounds might be closing, but the scars, they're permanent. I'll see it every time I walk into the bloody building. And Sidney, well, she's still asking the most important question. What about Jackson? What about your Hippocratic oath? Sorry, apologies, misspoke. Hippocratic oath to help and heal. Why are there members of a criminal gang on staff in a medical institution? And so, my dear viewers, we wrap up another week where hot drinks get hotter, ethics get messier, and the city kept moving like a sweaty man in a feather boa diving off the top of a rope. Brother. Wild, unpredictable, and somehow we're all still wearing leather pants. If this week has taught us anything, is that trust is brewed slowly, broken quickly, and occasionally spilled all over the ER floor. From everyone here at Weasel News, this was last week tonight. I'm Paddy Lambay, reminding you to stay kind, stay weird, and if you're going to throw hands over coffee, for the love of God, tip your barista first. Good night, Los Santos. However, we do have an anonymous. However, we do have an anonymous.